Kevin. I'm a creative director at an ad agency in Dallas, Texas. I will be reviewing your portfolio today. I will be reviewing it from the point of view of a creative director to eventually determine who I would want to bring in for an interview. The goal is to hopefully take some of this advice to heart, apply it to your portfolio, and get you to where you want to go. Ultimately, you are the judge and jury. Your portfolio is a representation of you. But if you put your portfolio in front of a lot of people and you're getting very consistent feedback on what you should or should not be doing in your portfolio, you might want to take even more of that to heart. All right, so a couple things. When I got to this right off the bat, I thought a couple things. It's very, very structured, and that you have this list of 1, 2, 3. You have this little header area up here. Typically, I would prefer a grid format. And the reason for that is you're essentially creating this menu for a reviewer to come in and click on the project that they're most interested in, right? Now, with only 3 projects currently, the list idea is not the worst idea. It actually makes sense. But one of my big critiques for you is I want to see more. You've got some really, really nice stuff here. There's a great base. I would recommend around that 5 to 6 range. Once you do get more projects in your book, that just allows people to see your range, the depth and breadth that you have. So people are very confident that you can tackle any type of project that comes your way. So again, each project is a confidence builder. You are proving that you can do this thing. And so the more proof points you put in your book, the better people ultimately feel. One thing I will say about your personal brand, I like this little logo mark up in the top left. I thought this pawn to queen little illustration, there was something really interesting going on, but I don't know the story behind it. I don't know exactly what it means. I think there's something interesting happening, but then there's nothing else throughout the portfolio that is in that same visual style. So that is where personal branding really comes in. When I hit this site, I see black and white, I see a serif, very structured font. And my immediate reaction is that it's a little bit corporate-y. I would look at this and say it's a little overly structured. And what I mean by that is it just lacks a little bit of personality, a little bit of flow and movement. And so my question for you, is this the exact way that you want to come across? And it may be. I'm not telling you don't do this thing this way. I'm saying that by your video, you looked really approachable and kind, right? If approachability is really important of who you are, that should also come to life in your color palette, in your font choices, and all of those things as well. Now, I'm not saying use Comic Sans. I'm not saying use some like scribbly handwriting font. But just a little bit of sans serif font is a little bit more of an approachable font. And maybe like a light blue color is a more approachable tone, right? This one feels a little more standoffish. But if you're trying to say, hey, I want to come across as very elevated, I want to come across hyper professional, then maybe these are the right choices, right? Those things can only be based on you. But I would work on your personal branding and just make sure your portfolio reflects a little bit about who you are as well. Speaking of who you are, we're going to hit the About section. I thought it was well written. You said, ever since I was young, I admired the transformative power of art. I was a kid of a few words and wielded the arts as a form of self-expression. Go into adulthood, extended this impact on a larger scale. And then you get more into those quirk traits, I'll call them, those extra hobbies, those interesting things that help me get to know you a little bit more. And it doesn't always boil down to the personality or writing style. Sometimes it's just about your background, what makes you tick, what are the things that make you uniquely you. I know you had talked about really loving video games, for example. I think in your video you talked about gaming being like a point of interest. I would love to see a little bit of that in here. I know you talk about casually great gaming, but you can bring out that inner nerdum that is in there, if it is, and show like, you know, just a little bit more of who you are. Infuse it, more than just a word, but almost a way of being. And those different perspectives are what bring real different ideas and thoughts to the table on different teams. And so people are looking for people that are different than the people that they have, right? So that you can bring your own unique skill sets. She said, how much personality and what kind of information is expected in my About Me page? Do I need to include education or previous careers? I think you've got it with the info. I think you're on the right track here. I would not put your education. I would not put your previous careers. Those are things that live on your resume. So your resume button takes us to your resume. We can learn all of that stuff. The About section really is for you and your personality and who you are to shine a little bit more, because you are not your work, and we can see the work and we can see how awesome it is, but we also want to know about the person we're going to be working with on a day-to-day basis, right? That's where you come in. From a UI UX project, I went through these thoroughly. I'm going to give you some top lines. So Sprout, I thought this was just a really cool strategic idea, and it came together really nicely in a couple of different ways. One is the way that you've laid out your storytelling. As I scroll down the page, very easy to digest what you've put here, and I think you've done a good job of that across all of your pages. So no notes on that. I particularly like the little iconography that was used, and even, I mean, this is strategic too, just to think through like the different communications and what icons could mean different things. Like this is an interesting space that I really enjoyed. I also liked the window where each illustrative element is very purposeful. Like the window reflects the time zone, like the plant reflects emotion and care of your partner and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought that was really smart and interesting. So what I like about this project, it shows that you can put your thoughts together in a strategic way. It shows that you do have some design acumen, and it also shows that you have some strategic thinking, which I think is really, really important. So I really, really enjoyed this. If I had to be super nitpicky, would love to see this memory stuff come to life a little bit more. I feel like that's such a meat of this, and I would love to see just how that blows out. And if there's any way to integrate that with the illustration style that you placed up here. You know, maybe it is this illustration style of a scrapbook that opens or something like that, and it has these photos. I don't know, just making things up. But the more you can create consistency and continuity between your different app screens, the better. So loved that. Next one, we had this one, the electronic medical record design. So I thought this was interesting because it was a different industry, right? Part of that range is range in projects, it's range in industry, it's range in skills that you're showing. So I really thought this was nice too. I love a good scrolly scroll to the side like this to see before and after. So love the simplification there. I thought that was really nice. I'll end on your character builder stuff. As a fellow character builder on different video games as well, I thought this was really neat too. And I love that it was interactive. So if it'll let me scroll really quick. I love like when these are clicked and they kind of expand to show more things and the different classes. And then you obviously have easily selectable skills and things in there. And I think there's some interesting storytelling that you've done there. So I think that's really interesting and nice. And that you can try it out on Figma, which I prefer a button that takes me to the experience if I want to dig deeper. What you've done a nice job is giving an overall snapshot of a project, so you're not taking too much of that reviewer's time because it is limited. So overall, I would say that your portfolio is looking good. For me, I just want a little bit more meat. I want 2 more projects at a minimum just to give me a little bit more of a taste test, right? I can taste multiple flavors. You did say, does my portfolio products need to align with a particular industry, or is it better to showcase a range of genres? So I think range of projects like you've shown makes you more multifaceted. You don't know when you're applying, well, sometimes you know, but you don't know when you're applying what their needs are, who their clients are all the time. And so the more diverse projects you have in your book, it makes you more hireable overall. Now, you did say you're interested in gaming. If that is like, you're like, it has to be gaming, that's cool. Then you want to really push gaming throughout your whole portfolio. But that's really hard to really narrow that focus this early in your career. What I would typically tell someone is, as a junior, jump in the industry, get your hands dirty, taste test different things, play around, and then decide, okay, now I'm going to get more niche. Now I'm going to pick an industry, I'm going to pick a category, and I'm going to go all in that category. Just because there's more competition and fewer jobs when you really start to narrow in on one particular thing. But overall, I think you're in a good spot. It's just continue to keep going. So appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Bye.